All right, let's take it forward with our guests this evening. We've got the chairman of CII Goa State and columnist with us. We've also got Gaurav Bakshi, he's the actor and founder for Help.in. Gaurav, let me begin by asking you, you just saw visuals on your screen of how the beaches of Goa look like at the moment. We don't see social distancing at all. We don't see masks on as well. At this time when most of the metros, most of the urban India at least has put restrictions in place, isn't it time for Goa to do the so?
Sonal, absolutely. I think they should have put in restrictions way in advance and not this last minute health minister making a statement on social media about a curfew, wanting to put a curfew today, 5 hours before the evening. So it is a disaster in the making if the public is allowed to be out there for so many hours. So I think, yes, they should have put in a curfew, just like the other states.
Right, they should have, but how does it and where does it put the people who have already made travel plans, who are in Goa? In fact, nobody is expected to land there in the evening. People are already there for at least a couple of days. Sabir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think this COVID has really upset everybody's apple cart, and to be fair to the government, they wouldn't have imagined this kind of a scenario. So what has happened is, because other states have locked down or curfew thing, everyone's worked. It normally happens at Christmas time, but this is unprecedented. So I'm not sure how you can control it, because even if you have a curfew, who's going to enforce it? Because finding tourists without masks, they were attacking the authorities. So if you go to some of the beaches, and this is across all market segments, it's not only any one type of tourist, it's across, they all come in because it's at the moment a free place. Some stay in hotels and some are on the beach. So it's going to be very difficult to enforce it at this step. So by the time this curfew thing comes in, they'll all have gone back in 2 days. So at the moment, but maybe going forward, something has to be thought about, but at this last minute, it will not be enforceable. You can have it, but it will be very difficult to enforce.
I'd like to add something, Sonal.
Right. Gaurav, I just want to add in a comment of what the tourism minister of Goa actually said. He said, I request the tourists to follow SOPs and enjoy their stay in Goa. Does that even go hand in hand, both those comments?
Not at all. So SOPs, firstly, the government has done a terrible job of even clearly communicating what those SOPs are. Secondly, enforcement is very little. So it is not just today. Even the last 2 months, if you had come down to Goa and Panjim on the main road, there are casinos. There are hundreds of people on the road not following social distancing. So the intent of the government should have been to enforce the protocols, educate the people, and ensure that the tourism can continue in a balanced manner without impacting either the business on one side. And how can it be done? Just like in Delhi, licensed properties have been allowed to continue. Because they are indoors, they can follow certain protocols. It is a safe environment that can be managed. A curfew is for the outside. Public places, public gatherings should be stopped, because that is where these disastrous situations tend to happen. So I think a balanced approach is the key, which is being done in other states. And enforcement, it's absolutely the duty of the government to enforce it. This is not a, how do they have resources? Can they do it? Can they not do it? It's their job to do it.
Right, but why exactly? Is this an oversight on part of the Goa government? Is this a deliberate attempt to bring in tourism? I'm just trying to understand which way they are going in.
It is absolutely so. You're right. What is happening is that they have, in fact, the concern and the understanding in across Goa is that the government is deliberately not testing the tourists anymore. They want to get rid of the testing aspect, show lower numbers, show normalcy returning, and let revenue come in for the state, which has been a disaster. There have been no funds in the coffers of the government. So keeping in mind business, they are turning a blind eye to the health and well-being of citizens. And the major disaster here can be British tourists coming in, bringing in the strains, which has potentially already happened and we just don't know. So I think
it's not just British tourists actually. The strain had been first detected in September. So we don't know what all countries are actually are those who have the strain, and we don't even have travel bans on those countries just yet. And we are very close to, identifying that. Yeah, go ahead, Gaurav. I'll give him the last word to Kastubir in this.
The tendency of this government is to do everything last minute in a very reactive manner. Why can't you sit down and plan something a month in advance, 2 months in advance, plan an enforcement, plan the right protocols? It's never done. Not just here, across the last 1 year since the pandemic has started. So what is the intent? And this thing of social media, Vishwajit Rane putting out a comment, we should have a curfew today, 3 hours prior to the events. Are you trying to bust the businesses who have planned everything for tonight without any thought behind it? So it's just ridiculous, I think.
Right. Kastubir, your last comments on this?
I think, as I said before, it's totally unprecedented, and it's not only the businesses, because some of these people on the beach actually have no business. They're just going to spend the day at the evening at the beach and then go back to wherever they came from. So they're not going to really add to the business or to any, this may be petrol or something they may buy, but it's not like that. And two, to be fair.
But what about hotels? What about Airbnbs which are being booked now? What about people travel to Goa not in ones and twos? They travel in a group. So I'm sure they've made arrangements much earlier.
A curfew coming up. No, I don't think there's going to be a curfew, because you would have like a riot situation. How are you going to take out all these people from the beach? They're already there. It's not that they're arriving. They're already there. So maybe those who are thinking about it might reconsider. But it's not going to be, you can have a curfew tomorrow or day after and you can start it. But today, I doubt there'll be a curfew, because it's not going to be possible to withdraw them from the beach. You have to tell them to go somewhere.
We'll be paying a price for this, for sure. We'll be paying a price for all of this.
Well, we really wondered what the Goa government was actually thinking at this point, and what's been there. Is this an oversight, or is this a deliberate attempt to try and give way to tourism? That's something that we've got our eyes on for the moment. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us with your thoughts.